Hey, everybody, welcome back to your Dawn of Autonomy podcast. I'm Dawn Zola, your host and the CEO of P3 Tech Consulting. We are at the tail end of a long and incredible month that we've dedicated to this theme of safe and secure skies, sponsored by Airspace Link. And today, to round out the month, we have with us again D-Fend Solutions. D-Fend has been a great friend to the show, has been on multiple times. Almost every employee has been on here. But today we have a really special guest. He's coming to us live from Israel. This is Amit Haimovich, and Amit is the Vice President of International Sales and brings a really interesting perspective about what is happening globally. And so it is so wonderful to have you on the show today, Amit.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Of course, of course. Now, for those that don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure, of course. So my name is Amit Haimovich, and I'm with D-Fend Solution, head of international business development and sales, working around the globe. Before D-Fend, I served about 20 years with Israel Aerospace Industries. I managed many programs, specifically in the area of air defense. Radars a little bit, the big ones, ballistical, anti-ballistical missile defense and stuff like this. And so it's a kind of a very extreme shift for me to go to drones. And even before that, I served with the Israeli Air Force. I was a helicopter pilot doing my duty for 12 years and some number of years in the reserve. So the whole aviation thing, flying machines, missiles, defense, is pretty much where I'm coming from.
Well, and it sounds like you've spent a career dedicated to safe and secure skies. So, what better person to have on the show than you, Amit, to talk about this? Now, many
Thank
people
you.
know about your company, Defense Solutions, but for those that don't, can you give us kind of a high-level overview about what you all are doing to contribute to safe and secure skies?
Sure. So Different Solution is already 7 years old company. We're based in Israel. We are providing counter drone solutions based on RF technology and cyber technology. We have a solution that is already very mature and deployed in those countries that you see flags of. We are focusing in many verticals. Defense is one of them. The other one is the civil environment, which is relating to homeland security, border security, critical infrastructure defense. And wherever drones are about to do bad things, we are there. Airport, of course.
Well, I was going to say, Amit, as we both know, there's so many amazing drone pilots out there doing the right things, and all it takes is one, whether they're careless or clueless, criminal, there are those out there. And of course, in years, we've just seen a ramp up of what I call the fourth C, combatant drones. And so, obviously a global need for counter UAS solutions to protect the skies for everybody, including drone pilots. I've always viewed counter UAS technology as an enabler
Yeah.
of the drone industry because, wherever you're flying, those lanes need to be clear of people that shouldn't be there, and vehicles that shouldn't be there. So, now we've had your colleagues from the US, we've had your colleagues from the UK on the show, and as VP of International, you operate and work with folks all over the globe. So tell us a little bit more about where you have been active globally in this space.
Okay, so I want to make a comment on your previous note.
Sure, please do.
We see ourselves as an industry that supports and enable the use of drone, but the good use of the effective, the use that creates a lot of good things in terms of serving people, in terms of using people, in terms of providing other capability that were not able to be provided before. So the way we look at the things is we want to enable drones flourishing. We want to enable it. And by removing the bad actors, this is our role in this whole community. So we see ourselves as part of the community that operating drone, but taking care of the safety and the security of those environments. So this is really, really important to understand. So it's not just defense company, it's kind of beyond being an active player in the community.
Yeah, and one to tag on to that, Amit, we talked about this with some of your colleagues before, but just to highlight, it enables the drone industry, but also, the commercial crewed aircraft, general aviation, helicopter, routes, future air taxis, all of it, because it's all about safe and secure skies. And anybody in the airspace that needs to have certainty about what is or is not in their particular area, you know, is a potential, user of D-Fend solutions and related counter UAS products. So I think that's really key to just kind of foot stomp that. And again, kind of getting back to this idea that this is a global issue.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about kind of the pockets of areas besides the US and UK where you have personally been active.
So obviously all over Europe,
Yeah,
primarily in Western Europe, because Western Europe is really booming in terms of both incidents and awareness and a lot of intention to try to resolve the issue or to do it in a very methodological way, in a very lawful way, and to advance into viable solutions. Also in Asia. Asia is a big continent. There are certain countries that we are operating in. We're trying to bring our solution into. It goes all over the place with a lot of differences, which bring a lot of challenges to me because different authority, different laws, different users, different use cases, different emphasis about where they see the center of gravity of the challenge. But all in all, it's worldwide. We have to choose the places that we are going. But I think we're doing a very good job because we are, for example, we're covering all the major high-profile events like in the last 3 or 4 years. I think we haven't missed any G7 summit or any G20 summit. We've been
wow.
there with multiple authorities or multiple users that protecting these events from many different angles, the facility security, the VIP security, and other security requirements that goes to other high-profile events like the climate change summits, the World Economic Summits in Davos, Switzerland, and so forth. So this is where we're acting. Comes to mind, of course, the major sporting event. Since the Olympic back in Tokyo in 2021, supposed to be in 2022, but COVID erupted.
Right.
So this summer we'll have both the Paris Olympics and we will have the European Championship in Germany. So all these we are heavily present in those events in various configurations.
Wow, that's amazing. And by the way, everybody, as I mentioned before, D-Fend has been on the show before, and we'll drop some of those links for you guys to check that out because we talked about all the different configurations. And in fact, when you all released Enforce Air 2 and the backpack portable version, we did a special product release for that, which you can find not only on D-Fend's website, but on my website, P3 Tech Consulting, under product releases. Check that out if you haven't seen that. That was a really great deep dive into that particular kind of most recent product. But I want to talk a little bit more about some of these specific incidents that you're seeing, Amit, because I know you guys have an amazing incident tracker on your website. But let's talk about Europe and let's maybe focus on the UK first. I think there was an interesting incident that happened there. So kind of walk us through what you're seeing in Europe in terms of the threat.
Okay, so I guess you're referring to, I think it was last week or the week before, then the Royal Air Force airplane was for F-50, F-35. So it was flying not that high, but quite high for a drone, and encounter in a near hit a drone that flying over there, of course, unauthorized. Nobody knew that could have happened or could have led to very serious consequences. So this is something that just fresh from the press, as we say, came last week.
And that, speaking of last week, I was at the counter UAS Congress with Jeffree Star from your company, and was shocked to hear the ridiculous number of flights that people are reporting universally over 400 feet above ground level, some thousands of feet into the air, like this one. That article said this was 36 times the allowable height. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
The technology is out there for folks to go to these elevations, even when they're not supposed to. And an F-35, are you kidding me? That's a fifth generation multi-million-dollar aircraft. And what a drone could do to that at that height. I don't even want to think about what could have happened there. And it was a near miss. Speaking of your drone incident tracker, I want to real quick pop this slide up, because to give folks a view of this, this is what you all have on your website. And what I love about this too, Amit, is you guys have filters to kind of pick and choose which kind of threat or incident and what location or area of the world to pull some of these up.
Yeah, so exactly so. We are trying to, well, the company has a small intelligence body that tries to track everything that is related to this domain. And you rightly mentioned that it's a very sophisticated tool, because you can filter it across type of drones, type of incidents, locations, sectors, and to see the outcome and get up to the very roots of the incidents. So you can learn a lot and you can learn better. And of course, all the statistics are there. So you can have the numbers, you can have the hotspots, you can have you see what's growing. Airports are growing with incidents, but not because there were a huge amount of bad activity over there. It's because they are now more aware, and there are more detection tools and means to monitor this, which is a good sign. The awareness is the first step in order to provide solution, and we see it. We come to an airport to demonstrate the system or to prove the concept, and we bring our own drones to check it. But all of a sudden, we see multiple drones that are not connected to the demonstration, but they are in the vicinity of the airport, and they have no clue that they are over there, which is a bit frightening, and needs to be taken care of. Absolutely, the solution needs to be popping up over there, because it's flight safety and security both together in this domain, in this vertical.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, in the U.S., the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, has an incident tracker and reporting, but it's basically pilots calling it in, saying, "Hey, I just saw a drone and I'm here." And there's about, I think, on average, over 100 reports daily, just across the United States. Not necessarily, just at airports, coming in from pilots across the board. And that, as you say, is just a small sliver of what is out there. You just don't know what you don't know until you use a technology like, your RF cyber takeover technology to see, to detect and then identify and track, who are these folks and what are they doing here? You're seeing these incidents in Asia too, right? So tell me, there's been a few recent ones. We can talk a little bit about those. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. You mentioned the high value asset like the F-35 of the Royal Air Force, but we saw in Japan, for example, drones flying over very expensive, very high value assets like a carrier, the USS Ronald Reagan, for example, that was in a Japanese port. It's a nuclear powered kind of vessel that you don't want drones, whatever they carry, to be around it even. Not to talk about, gathering data and information and espionage type of missions. Uh, you want to be defended. You can't allow yourself because this is a real high value asset that needs to be protected. And we see that also in other places, even a Japanese naval base that is constantly irritated by the Chinese. Some of it is non-innocent at all. It's something that should be taken seriously, and I think the Japanese are taking that seriously. I can talk about Taiwan. We don't really know what's going on because it's not in the press, but I can tell you that from talking to people and to operators and people who needs to take care of things, without mentioning too much,
Right.
there's a lot of activity over there. And so we talked about these VIP and stadiums and civilian environment. We're now talking about defense and high value military type of assets that needs to be protected. But you don't want to shoot bullets and stimulate war fighting if it's not necessary. You better deal with those issues in a minor way or the ineffective way on one hand. On the other hand, you don't want to escalate things. You want to do it in a very conservative way to the level it's possible. And this is where we come to the picture. So we are very, very active in the defense forces in order to allow them to be protected against those type of threats, those types of drones. Some of them are simple commercial drones that can be bought anywhere and accessible to anybody, but some of them are more serious than that. Maybe we'll have time to get to that as well. So it's really an issue that needs to be taken care of.
Absolutely. And we're gonna continue talking about some of these challenges you continue to see, including in Europe, like France and Germany. I want to, we're talking about continuity of operations, RF cyber takeover technology. And before we continue talking about the incidents, I want to at least, Amit, give you this opportunity to very briefly explain, to catch people up, because I don't want to assume that our listeners know what it is your technology actually does. It's quite incredible, very, let's just say, precise. So if you can explain basically what it is and how it works, and then we'll kind of continue talking about the threats and then get back into, why this technology is so useful across these threats.
Sure. So we're using an RF system. For those of you who are experts, we're using the technology of software-defined radio. It's designed and produced here in D-Fend solutions. And by scanning the spectrum very widely, we understand that there is a drone in the coverage area and operating, transmitting messages or getting commands. Once we do that, we deploy cyber techniques to understand not just the RF signals, but also the data. And this is the uniqueness. This is the unique value, technological value that we can provide to this domain. And once we know the data, we can tell you where the drone is, very, very precise by its GPS location. We can tell you what kind of drone, whether it's a threatening one or not. We can even identify pre-designated blue drones that can operate in the area and let them fly freely because we know about them. And then if something that's not supposed to be in the area, we can identify and give you this information. And if and when you would decide to take action, we can either fend it off, meaning send him back home to its home location, or we can fully take over. That means we control it in a very, very safe way, leading him via waypoints 1, waypoint 2, to a landing point that we again pre-designated. It's safe, it's clean, it's route, it's not a jamming technique, it's not any kinetic solution, it's very, very safe, secure, and control. And this is why we think it's very, very, very applicable to those environments. If you don't want to escalate a war because of a drone, sometimes it can be innocent, sometimes not that innocent, but still you don't want to escalate. Or you go to the airport or civilian environment that you want continuity. You don't want to shut the airport every time somebody spotted a drone. You want to remove the threat and continue to operate the port, the seaport, the airport. You don't want to create panic when you see some drone in the stadium. You just want to take care of it, but not to create an uncontrollable situation. So this is why this technology is really, really, really good and addressing well the challenge in those environments.
Yeah, I mean, the sensitive environments you're talking about, to be sure, like you said, you don't want a situation of, some people think they can just take a gun out and shoot one of these. Worst idea ever, really, in most cases. But let's get back. So thank you for that. I think that was really helpful for folks that weren't really familiar with your technology, to kind of give a little bit more context. Now let's talk about what we're seeing in Europe. You mentioned the Olympics coming to France this summer, but yet France, and I remember back in 2014, Amit, France was reporting repeated drone flights over their nuclear power plants. So this, drone, incursions in France, it's not a novel issue, but there's been some recent ones of note. So let's talk a little bit about those.
So in France, I think the most popular use of drones is with prisons. So they smuggle weapons, they smuggle drugs, they smuggle SIM cards, and there were a lot of incidents. People are arrested, and it's a nice business, because a 17 years old kid that just got arrested in I think it was Bordeaux prison. But this is his business. He smuggled for 5,000 euro a delivery, a little package of 500 grams, and there you go. It's the risk is well taking one, because the reward is really huge for a 17 years old. And this is a criminal act that can in turn result in a very severe consequences. A massacre of in a prison is not a scenario that no one of us would like to see or to have. So this is something that is kind of popular in France.
Well, Amit, I'm going to stop you there, because not just in France, it's everywhere. I know I've heard briefings from some of our Bureau of Prisons folks here in the United States, and this is a constant challenge for them. And what I didn't know until I heard one of these briefings was that you mentioned SIM cards. A cellular phone is worth its weight in gold. It's worth thousands of dollars inside a prison. Why? For a whole host of reasons, including that, we always hear these, stories that, whether it's a gang member or a member of like a criminal enterprise like the mafia, still able to control their operations from inside the prison. How are they doing that? Cell phones. So, that is a priceless thing to these folks, and they're dropping them in by drone. So, yeah.
Some of those prisons are in the center of city. There is one very famous prison in the middle of Paris. You can't shoot over there. You can't even jam. You can't even jam, because the next door neighbor is a police operation that you can't jam it. You just can't. So you have to find a different technology in order to take care of business.
Yeah, absolutely. And in Germany, they're seeing issues with airports and all kinds of things. So tell me what you've seen there lately.
So we've seen some reports about major airports like Frankfurt that are shutting down. We also get a lot of report from the Ministry of Defense, the Bundeswehr, the German Ministry of Defense, about suspicious drone flights over very sensitive bases, air bases as well, and including some very suspicious activity of drones over bases that are training troops that are going into Ukraine and trying to gather some information about tactics and equipment and stuff like this. I'm not familiar. They are not sharing the details of the suspicious activity, but we know that this is really, really an issue. And actually, this is something that Germans, they take care of business, and they are about to draw a plan that will make sure this is not happening.
Yeah, I mean, all kinds of threats, including surveillance, as you just mentioned. You know, the information is power and can also be used as a weapon. People don't remember that sometimes, and just being able to gather information about what the other side is doing, if you're in a conflict or otherwise, pretty significant. So, you know, with these threats, the ones we've talked about, everything from flights over nuclear, ships, to prisons, to airports, to military bases. What are some of the counter UAS trends that you're seeing to address these issues internationally?
Okay. So, first of all, I think unlike 3 or 4 years ago or pre-COVID days that I had to talk to people about the challenge, it's serious, it's coming, you need to do something. It's not anymore the question. People are aware, they understand, and that they have to do something. So this is the good news. The not so good news, they are still very, very confused. They start to put an order in the various technologies that are available for them, the various solutions, what fits their needs, and what the pros and cons of each of the technology. However, this is still in discussion. What I see getting more and more mature is the change of the laws or the regulations. Before that, it was a big obstacle to operate any technology, by the way, not just ours, but any technology was questionable. Now, there is more and more smart use of different type, depends on the country, of course, but authorization to assign proper bodies, law enforcement bodies and law enforcement entities to use it at a specific time, specific locations, sometimes for limited, very limited, sometimes it's broader than that and it's going on, but it's moving. That's the good news and the big change.
And Amit, I would say I would agree with this, and the word I would use here is a level of professionalism that we're seeing across the board. And I think there are great parallels with the actual drone industry, where you're seeing more complex operations beyond visual line of sight. You know, as those safety cases continue to build and grow, and the civil aviation authorities get more and more comfortable that, hey, there's a professional cadre of folks out there that know what they're doing. We know they can do it safely. You know, they're leaning more and more forward to enable more of these operations. And I see this also on the counter drone side, like you said. It's not a matter of is there a threat? Everybody knows there is. Wide range of them out there. And then the question becomes, so how do we address that? And with what you're doing at D-Fend, everything from that incident you guys addressed with the Pope a few years back, with 60,000 people in a crowd, to the G7, as you said, all these different sporting events. The more that our authorities get to see, when I say our authorities, I mean our leaders, that are in charge of writing these laws or executing them get to see the success stories, the controlled use, and the continuity of whether it's a game, whether it's a very high level conference.
Sure.
They get more and more confident in this, and I think that's really, really critical. So where, I mean, we talked about some of these sensitive areas, but where are you seeing, if you could pick maybe three, where would you say are the top three biggest interest UAS right now globally from your perspective?
Okay, so airports definitely picking up.
Yeah,
And I tell you this firsthand, I think they kind of almost fully recovered from, or changed. They changed. The industry changed after COVID, but
yeah,
they are, have a steady state of what they have established for their near future, I would say. And they are worried about drones. And they know they need to do things. And the issue, you asked me before about the trends, the issue of continuity is vital for them, not just, of course, for security reason, of course, for safety reason, but also for economical reasons. And
absolutely.
economical reasons are a great driver to take actions. So we're seeing that, and again, I can't. Our customers or user, they don't like us to be to disclose how they
Sure.
protect themselves. I can tell you from firsthand that airports are picking up, and we are very busy with airports. There's another, I would say, a big development in the market in terms of awareness, going deeper into the technology or getting into the heads of the bad guys. They are using do-it-yourself drones because if they know that there are some systems that can track or provide information about simple commercial drones like the
Right.
DJI using Aeroscope, even now they try to encrypt it different. There is your next episode, I guess. Uh, the the do-it-yourself drone that they assemble it from off-the-shelf component, but still tweaking it and try to avoid the conventional detection systems. And of course, being a drone, they are hard to be picked up by radars, specifically in civilian or in complex environments. So we see this as a trend, and we need to answer this. We need to bring up some solutions that will take care of those experts. And let me tell you, it's not a secret that those experts, they try hard because they have serious business to accomplish. So these are the terror
Yeah.
groups. It goes to serious criminal organizations, and it goes to the terror groups that are mainly in conflict areas, as we see, but they may, God forbid, expand to other environments and areas, and we want to be protected. We want to be able to provide security to areas that potentially be targeted by those groups. And we see this as a huge thing. And maybe the all the third major thing is every every security unit, government agency or state agency, or those who cannot fail in their missions, they understand that part of the mission now is drones, and they need to be protecting against drone. Otherwise, they will fail in their missions. So it's not just a recommendation or nice to have or maybe something that it's a toy to play with. It's in a very heart of their set of missions.
Yeah, I would agree with you across the board on the security side. And, you and I both know with our military backgrounds that, the defense agencies globally have been employing drones for a long time. I think the change that we've seen in the last couple of years, Amit, I think you would agree, is proliferation of commercial off-the-shelf small drones, as you said, some DIY. some, first person view, racing drones for the first time, right, in combat. It's like, whoa. Now, as you said, some of the air forces and some of the military forces are increasingly also then looking at the TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures that they're seeing. They're thinking we need to adopt these because this is coming our way and we need to protect against them. And so you've recently partnered with the Spanish Air Force in a really interesting way. So tell us about that.
Okay, so of course the Spanish Air Force, they are protecting their bases. Again, it's just like an airport. The flight safety issue on one hand, the security of the base and being protected is another issue. There are also, of course, the unique capability we just spoke about to do it in a very clean or secure way, in a very controllable way, was very, very much appealing to them. The other thing that is important in army facility or military facility is the signal disruption. So they want to avoid this, and this was a key factor in their decision. I think they're looking forward to some of their bases that are all that are in actually major cities. They're in a vicinity of everyday life in the industrial areas, and they don't want to interfere with, and they want to be protected, and they don't want to do any harm to those neighbors. They are good neighbors. So
Well, look, I mean, I think you appreciate this, but I don't know that all of our listeners do. Every single military base is like a city unto itself.
mhm.
When people talk to me, because I was a legal advisor to these commanders, the commander's like the mayor of a city, right? You have everything from water treatment facilities to obviously all kinds of other infrastructure on that, including military equipment and hardware. You think about that happens in a city is happening in a microcosm on a military base,
Sure.
in a much more sensitive environment.
Yeah.
So it's no wonder that the Spanish Air Force partnered with you, given the technology that you have. Now, you've also had some similar arrangements in Asia, just again, given the sensitivity of some of these bases and homeland security issues. So tell me a little bit about that.
So we provided a very important government agency in Asia the capability to secure the VAPs. It's very interesting this case because it's across the board. Whether he working in his office, whether he travels with his people to meetings, or to even with helicopters or his jet, to be secure when he going on board or disembarking, and everywhere he goes, he needs protection. And it was they didn't want to make a big thing out of it. They wanted to be a little bit easy on him and on the public as well, not to be showing a very complex and very multi systems kind of solution. They wanted to be on the easy side, but still effective. So they checked a lot upon us, and they do the trial, and we did a proof of concept, which was beautifully run and very professionally, and we proved ourselves. So this is the case, and this is why they chose us. And I know they're very, very happy with their decision.
Well, you raise a great point that, not everybody wants a bunch of big radars or, contraptions hanging off their vehicle, and to have a covert version of what you do, especially for VIPs, is really critical. In addition to that backpack portable where, somebody could be walking, in kind of a cavalcade or something with one of these things also on the back, just looks like a backpack, I mean, all that stuff is awesome. So we only have a few minutes left. I knew our time would fly. I want to take a second because you alluded to some things, but before we close out, I do want to talk a little bit about, staying one step ahead of these threats, because You mentioned these DIY things. Boy, we are just at these events, and everybody, oh, swarms, oh, dark drones. Oh, the sky's falling, everything's happening. Certainly, we know technology is going to continue evolving.
Yeah.
And as you said, you have an intelligence group within your 150 plus person organization keeping track of these things. So as you look forward, Amit, how does D-Fend, what do you see going forward? How does D-Fend intend to continue staying one step ahead of those threats?
Okay, so I talked about DIY. I'm not going to repeat on that.
No.
I no, I know. Uh, I think there's two things. One is the proper evaluation of the technology is growing and getting mature, and this is something that we are constantly trying to convey into the markets, and it's picking up and it's getting better and better every day. If you remember, I'm sure you are. Uh, there was a lot of disappointment for some of the solutions. That because the evaluator were very confused about how to evaluate the system and how to do it properly and how to match it with their needs. So it's getting better, and we are, I think, playing a big part of it in trying to support evaluators and support potential users on how to evaluate technology, not just ours, but across the board. So this is one. You probably want to know about the most fascinating advancement that I think we're going there is very popular now. It's the AI stuff. So I think it's going to go both into the drones and into the counter drones solutions. The drones will use AI when they're being jammed or where they're being masked for whatever reason. So they will have the capability to evade jamming, to do the frequency hopping in a very intelligent way, to do it sometimes, if they mean bad, in an illegal way, but still they have the capability. And these guys, you want to catch those guys. On the counter UAS side, we can provide, I think, with employing this kind of technology, a more effective mitigation that will tell you in real time what does the drone do and how it tries to defend himself from being affected by a counter UAS system, and then to react. So it's a cat and a mouse kind of a game that will always be there. But I think the AI will help us a lot in order to provide quick solutions and to adjust ourselves very quickly to the dynamics of the markets. What the drone will do, we will provide kind of, and we prepare ourselves in such way and laying the infrastructure, if you wish, both humanly and with technology and engineering staff to allow for this.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to see more and more AI across the board, but certainly in drone and counter drone, it's going to be an interesting world. I think we're going to see a lot more, as the military in the U.S. calls them, UXS, uncrewed systems in general, not just in the air, but also on the surface, subsurface, all connected, and then taking into account all of the full range of threats. I think it's going to be a very interesting future. Just glad you guys are working on it, and to keep us safe as we move forward. So Amit, we have about 1 minute left, and I want to cede this floor to you to really give us any concluding remarks you have, and certainly please also tell folks can reach you and learn more about D-Fend Solutions.
So it's very easy. Our website, defendsolutions.com, is a very rich site. We serve the community in the most wide way, not just related to our products and solutions, where, as we say, we see ourselves as a player. I think we have to keep up. It's a very dynamic market. We don't know what will, even though we try to focus on the future and understand what's the next step and the next step and the next step, we don't really know. What we do know is that we will be there to serve the community, and we'll be there to provide solutions, because this is what we are all gathered here for, and this is what the company is all about. So 150 plus people are working day and night to provide a safer community of safer solutions for the drone domain.
Well, I was just say, Amit, what a great way to wrap up Safe and Secure Skies Month. So thank you so much, you and everything you and D-Fend Solutions are doing to keep our skies more safe and more secure globally. And for everybody out there, thank you so much for dialing in. We are out here.
Thank you.